Hi, my name is Tammy Cochran. I am currently a student of Iowa University, and I am doing my senior project on self-harm. I believe that there is both lack of education and training on this matter, and if we had the right type of training and even education on this, we'd be able to better serve youth in places such as United Methodist Children's Home. This problem has been on the rise in recent years because a lot of the time it's because we don't know what signs to look for because there's a lack of education and training on this. Parents, they want answers just as well as everybody else on why the child is doing this. Why is my child hurting themselves? Why are they cutting themselves? Why are they self-poisoning themselves, which is some of the methods that people use to self-harm. Self-harm in some cases can lead to suicide. They may not intend to take their own lives, but it can lead up to this. An author sees this as both attempted suicide and non-suicidal injuries. And another author said that youth who practice self-harm, 10 to 15% of them in a year try it again. If we had that right education and even the training, and we know the signs to look for, and we'll be able to intervene to prevent them from doing this again. We could even intervene to help them stop themselves from doing this at all. Self-harm itself does not actually have an actual diagnosis, and researchers don't even know exactly why people do it or where it comes from. Some people believe it could be from ADHD or even BPD, which is borderline personality disorders, while other researchers believe it comes from emotions and depression. Someone who is emotional might harm themselves more than someone who's not emotional, but that's not always the case. Just because someone has ADHD does not mean that they're going to harm themselves. The same with someone who has BPD. That don't mean they're going to harm themselves. It's just it can have links and ties to that. As I mentioned earlier, some ways people self-harm themselves is self-cutting and self-poisoning. One of the most noticeable ones is self-cutting, because a lot of times when people self-cut, they do it at their risk with everyday household objects around the house. It could be glass, it could be plastic, it could be knives, it could be the tin from soda cans. Basically any way they can make themselves bleed, to make themselves not feel the pain, to feel better about themselves. Another way is what is called self-poisoning. Self-poisoning can be done with household chemicals such as bleach and pine sol, any other thing that you use to clean around your house. And they also self-medicate, overdose on medications that they take. They even take people's pills that ain't prescribed to them. They drink alcohol when they're taking these pills. Any combination of this stuff is dangerous, and they're harming themselves. Some people don't realize the dangers it does to them. And I think if they were more aware of it and what damage can do to the body, hopefully they won't do it again. Since youth ain't gonna come to you a lot of times and say, hey, I'm to the point where I want to hurt myself, I feel like cutting myself or taking more medicine or something that's not mine is going to make me feel better and take the pain away. We have to be able to get the youth to trust us or trust somebody to go to them when they feel this way. There's not a lot of, I believe, outside resources they can turn to. I mean, there's a lot of places people can go to that are suicidal or known as suicidal, but there's not enough, I believe, for people to go to if they just self-harm themselves. Just because they self-harm themselves does not mean they're suicidal. And we don't want people to think, oh, they harm themselves, so therefore they want to kill themselves or take their own lives, when a lot of times this is not the case. One way we can better educate ourselves, we can have ongoing training and ongoing educational classes. Even if it's like the educational stuff is online, where you take a short class, for a few hours or whatever it may be. It can keep us up to date on what's going on and the statistics, if we're able to get those, on what youth are doing to harm themselves. Not even just youth, but adults too, because they do it too. I mean, last month it could have been self-poisoning that was popular. This month it could be self-cutting, or a combination of the both. When we know this, we would be able to serve the youth better. Not just youth, but adults too. And not only this, we can give parents answers on why their child's doing this. If we know what is triggering this, we can tell the parents, hey, when your child hears about certain things, it causes them to go back to back to what they consider the safe zone. Okay, when I fell off my bike, I enjoyed the pain, so every time I feel like I'm falling, I'm gonna do something to cause pain to where it will make the other pain go away. Another method for self-educating self and training self is have guest speakers come in. People that have been through this in their life. Have them come in and tell us, different signs that we can look for, reasons why they may have done it, and reasons why youth may do it today. We could also have them talk to youth that are known to self-harm themselves. Because we want the youth and even other adults to understand that we are there to help them. We are there to help them get through this. That we want them to see them become successful in life. Another thing is every few months, give teens and youth and adults, whoever you may work with in that general population, give them self-assessments. I'm taking an assessment thing so we can see where the frame of mind is. There's many different types of self-assessments available online. All you got to do is make sure you find the ones that you need geared toward the person you're working with. Not everybody's gonna understand them if they're at a certain mind frame. I mean, just because someone's 18 does not mean they have the mental capacity to think like an 18-year-old. There's a lot we can do to help prevent this, but you have to remember, prevention is to try to prevent something from happening or happening again. As we better educate ourselves and get better training, we can put better prevention measures into place in facilities and even at home. A youth is not always going to be living in a children's home, a group home, or a detention center. Just like an adult, if they have a release date from where they're at, they're going to eventually go home. And if they self-harm, we want to be able to help them be able to implement whatever plan and safety plan type things we put into place with them where they were at, that they can do it at home. That we can get, the parents can be better informed on what signs to look for, what they can do to help the child when they come home. Not even if it's not their child, another loved one. We want people to be well informed, not just the ones that are taking care of these individuals, but the individual themselves, on ways they can better prevent themselves from harming themselves. Help them understand that life is valuable. Everybody is here for a reason. We also have to remember that just because something worked for one person does not mean it's going to work for another. We have to individualize these people. We can't just group them all together and say, well, Jim, one way he stops self-harming himself is he takes a jog around the block. So that means Sally should too. If she wants to harm herself, let her jog around the block. Well, if Sally sees an oncoming car and she decides, let me dart into the street because if this car hits me, it will take whatever pain away I am feeling, it will take it away. So we have to remember, just because something works for somebody, it's not going to work for the next person all the time. It may, but it may not. In closing, I just want everyone to realize that self-harm is a problem and it's not going to go away overnight. Just like suicide is not going to go away overnight, AIDS isn't going to go away overnight, cancer is not going to go away overnight, MS isn't going to go away overnight. We have to continue to educate ourselves and train ourselves and train others around us on prevention measures, signs to look for, and ways we can help these individuals. We don't want, at the end of the day, we don't want these individuals to think that they don't matter when they do matter. At the end of the day, we want to be able to say to ourselves, I helped that person overcome an obstacle in their life. You want the person to be able to say as they get older and go into adulthood, you want them to be able to look back and say, that person cared, that person helped me become who I am today. This person helped me realize what I was doing is dangerous, that what I was doing was wrong. We want to be able to, later on in the future, say, this was a fad then, and it died out because we were able to educate ourselves, train ourselves, and train others around us to help these youth and adults stop this type of action. We also want people to be able to not say, this person's harming themselves, let me help them get the help they need. Let that individual know that there is help out there. And if you do yourself know someone who self-harms himself, be there, help them through this. If you don't think you can do it, help them find someone who they can go talk to. I would like to thank you for taking your time to listen why I feel that we lack education and training on self-harm and why I believe we need more education and training on this.